Morning, Sun Valley. Morning scripture will be taken from the Old Testament book of Psalms. Psalms chapter 73, and I'll be reading verses 24 through 26. You will guide me with your plan, and afterward receive me to glory. Whom do I have in heaven but you? And with you I desire nothing on earth. My flesh and my heart may fail, but God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever. May the Lord bless the reading of his word.
Morning, Sun Valley Church of Christ. Sunday morning worship. What a joy it is to be here this morning with my family. People that I love, people that love me, people that love God. Important aspect of life. We want to welcome our visitors. If you're here visiting, I hope you're realizing what God does. Through His love transforming people and taking them out of the world and putting them into a wonderful place that He calls His church. A place that we are not of the world. Although we may be in the world, we are not of the world. We are people that are trying to help others find their way to Christ. And if you're visiting, I hope you see that and love that. And you might be wondering when we get back together, and I'll let you know that right away so that you will prepare your life accordingly. 6 o'clock this evening. You thought I was going to say next Sunday. No, it's 6 o'clock this evening. It's the day of the Lord. It's a day that we should be rejoicing in, a day that He has given us to come and worship Him. So we will be back at 6 o'clock this evening to continue in our worship. You are more than invited. We'd love to have you there with us as much as we enjoy having you here today. So grateful to have you. Life is a challenge. And I love the reading of Psalm 73 to remind us that we have a God in heaven. And why is that important? Well, that's where we want to go. So we need to know Him. He is Lord of the heavens and Lord of the earth. So we need to understand Him on a very good basis. We need to understand Him throughout. Like we said, we're in the world. And that's a challenge. Because the world doesn't know God. And the world doesn't care that we want to know God. So they're not going to say, well, Travis, come on, I'll show you God. Because they don't know God. And they're all right with that. But we as Christians, we are wanting to know God. And so we have to be like the man who was afraid of escalators. Take steps to prevent it. Right? We want to make sure that our life is going according to God's plan. We want to make sure that we are walking in the path that He has left us and not letting the world drag us off where they're going. But we have to ask ourselves, what is it that we want in this life? I titled this sermon A Good Follow-Through because I don't think any of us would be here if we didn't have a good starting point. A good, strong desire to start out. But it's not the starting that really matters. It's the finish. So I want us to have a good follow-through. I don't want us to get tired. I don't want us to grow weary. I don't want us to be misguided by a world that is seemingly being prosperous without God. That's the trickery of Satan. And he's out there to deceive us to seek the comfort that's in the world instead of the challenges that are in the Christian walk. Now, we have to ask ourselves, are we one of those people that come to Christ because I'm looking for a permanent vacation? Or am I one of those people that came to Christ because I want a positive vocation? Do I want the life that God has really offered? I mean, I like the pew, and I like the building, and I like the idea of salvation, but what about the life that goes with it? Am I willing to make the sacrifices that God has called me to? We live in a world that thinks they love. But their love is without surrender. That's not total love. God is totality. There's not a half God. There's not a three-quarter God. There's not a 99.99% pure God. He's 100%. 100% pure. And his love is 100%. There's people that, want to be considered a Christian, but they don't want to give up their life to take the life of a Christian. So that is Satan's way of bringing the confusion. The fence riders, so to say. But I want to encourage you to know there is no fence. There's nothing that you ride. It's either you is or you ain't. And so when we look at the Bible, when we understand God, we understand we have a challenge set before us to either give 100% of ourselves or give none of ourselves. There is nothing in the middle. We look at people that want to come to God and find that forgiveness instead of looking to God for holiness. Forgiveness is great. It's means to the end. The forgiveness brings us to the holiness, but it's not the end, forgiveness. So today I want us to be honest with ourselves and ask ourselves the questions about discipleship. What does it mean to us? What is it defined by? Well, we understand discipleship is defined by the idea of following Christ. That's a hard challenge. Because Christ went down some roads that I don't think anybody, would volunteer and say, hey, I want to do that. But yet we do. We have, and we need to understand that. There's a priority. What's important to us? What is valuable? What do I put as first in my life? I can't tell you, Charlie. You have to be honest with yourself and say, what is first in my, is it my wife? Is it my kids? Is it my job? Or is it my Lord? There's only two people that know the answers. And I say people, that's you and God. Two beings, I guess, that should know that answer. We want to look at the price tag. Folks, Jesus is very clear in Luke chapter 14 about counting the cost. And I want to look at that. And I know for most of us, it's like, well, I've already done this, and now you're telling me to count the cost. Well, this is something we should have done a long time ago, but I just want to remind us of the commitment that we've made and not let the world take that away from us. And then there is peculiarity in it. We are called to be different. We are called out of the world, out of that image and into the image of Christ. So we want to look at these points, and we want them to sink in, if you will. We want them to register and resonate our life. And it starts with the idea of priorities. In Luke chapter 14, and we look at verse 25, very clear. Well, if I'm on the right page, it would be very clear. Luke 14, now large crowds were going along with him, that's Jesus, and he turned and said to them. Now, that word turned, do you remember when he turned and looked at Peter after Peter denied him 3 times? That's the turn that's right here. This was not turning to say, hi, how are you? This was a very stern look. This was a turning to say, I'm here to weed out the imposters. I'm here to find true faith. As he turned, he says, if anyone comes to me. Now, that's another great word, comes to me. Well, it doesn't mean just comes to me like we think it means. It means to accept what I'm offering. If anyone sees me as Lord, if anyone comes to me and does not hate his own father and mother, and his wife and children and brothers and sisters, yes, and even his own life, he cannot be my disciple. Now you think, if you look at that in it, it sounds kind of hard, doesn't it? It's kind of a hard statement. But Jesus was not a soft-soaper. Jesus was congenial. Jesus was polite. But when it came to your soul, Jesus was real. And folks, we need to understand that. Discipleship is real. It's not a game. It's not a hobby. It's not an idea. It's a lifestyle. It is a decision to walk with Christ. And if you are going to come to Jesus, you don't want to come half-heartedly. You want to see him for what he truly is. God's only begotten Son sent to this world to die on a cross for us so that we could follow him. Hear me? Follow him. Not just go be there, but to follow him there. That indicates a path that he talked about in Matthew 7, a narrow path. As the world walks with no rules, no regulations, it's like outback religion, no rules, just right. You know, they just go do whatever they want and they end up somewhere. We are people that are seeking the path that is going to lead us to God, to lead us to heaven, to lead us to that rest. So we need to understand, we need to prioritize relationship. Who is Jesus? What is he to me? What place does he have in my life? Because it's either first place or there's no place. Jesus does not take the back seat. Jesus doesn't want you to think he does. If anyone wishes, has the will, has the determination to see me as Lord, to see me for who I truly am, that comes to me, right? Must do something. Must hate his mother and father. Now, if you think about that, that sounds kind of hard. But the relationships give an idea of what he's talking about. Seeing Jesus as Lord is authority. Mother and fathers are authority, are they not? He's not saying, hate your mother and father. Come on now. There's no way Jesus would tell us to hate our mothers and fathers. Understand the word. In comparison to your love for me, that love for your mother and father should take a back seat to the love for me. That's authority. Mothers and fathers are authority. Okay? The idea that he talks about with mothers and father, and then he says wives and children and brothers and sisters. Folks, that's a brotherly love. That's a family love. You remember when he was talking to Peter at the end of the book of John? And he said, Peter, do you love me? Agape? And Peter said, yeah, I love you like a brother. And Jesus tried to work him into agape, didn't get there, but was leading him there. And that's key too. As long as Jesus is leading, we're there. Right? As long as we're following. The idea that he's trying to get across is what priority is our love? Our love for him. Our families are important, don't get me wrong, but he doesn't want the family love. He wants agape love. He wants us to put him first place in everything. Paul talked about preeminence. He is to have preeminence in all things, and that includes the name that we wear. I am not a such Christian. I'm not a Church of Christ Christian. I'm a Christian. That's it. I'm not Church of Christ. I'm a Christian. I go where God has his people assembled in a building with the name Church of Christ on it for business reasons and worldly reasons and understanding and an address and all that. But that doesn't make me Church of Christ. I am Christian. So the idea that he's wanting us to understand is the idea of love. What authority? You know, what priority does our love for him have? And then he went on to talk about other things, even his own life. Do we see that? Even our Revelation 12:11. They loved Jesus. They overcame the devil. How? Because they loved Jesus even in the face of death. Even when they were going, you love Jesus, you die. Okay, then I die. It's okay, I go home, which is where I want to go in the first place. This is the idea that Jesus is getting across. The other part is the responsibilities that come with it, right? If anyone comes to me, he looks at the idea of having, doesn't carry his own cross. People, do we understand that coming to be a disciple of Christ means suffering? And I'm not saying, you know, woohoo, we get to suffer, but the idea is there's a lot of things we give up. It's not easy. You know, I think Kermit said it best. It's not easy being green. Well, it's not easy following Christ. Pick up that cross. If you're going to follow me, pick up that cross, because guess where I'm going through? The cross. Yeah? So the idea of responsibility. We have responsibility as Christians is to do the things that God does. Now here it is. What are we here for, right? What are we here for? Are we here for a vacation, or are we here to be a disciple? Am I here for challenge or comfort? Because if I'm here for comfort, I'm in the wrong place. Challenges all day long. Every day is a challenge. Every decision is a challenge. The idea is responsibility. It's like the cross that's, the criminal that's hanging on the cross. He was subject to that cross because of the sentence. Folks, we are in submission to the commission. He was in submission on that cross to the sentence. We are in submission to the commission. What are we commissioned for? To go out and preach the gospel. To go out and preach the word. In season and out of season. Helping people find their way to God, to Christ, by giving our life for that. Not just our Sundays, but our life. The responsibility. And then the reality. What's the reality? He says, whoever does not carry his own cross, responsibility, and come after me, recognition, right, authority, relationship, is going to be having a hard time being a disciple. That's not reality, folks. Reality is he cannot be my disciple. I don't care what you tell people. I don't know. It doesn't matter what we think. I'm a disciple of Christ. Well, how do you know? Well, I don't know. A preacher said that, we're disciples. Well, what else did he say? He said, pick up your cross, right? And he said, if you're not willing to do these things, you cannot be my disciple. He didn't say it's going to be hard to be my disciple. He said, you don't have the ability or the power to be my disciple. Unless you make this kind of idea of priority. It's important. Because how we set our priorities tells the world who we are. Two scarecrows one time out in the field were talking. That was the joke. No, they were out there talking, and they were kind of confused about some things, and they were looking at across the field, and he said, one scarecrow said, you see that over there? And said, what is that? Yeah? Well, so that's a crow. And the crows were talking to each other, and they said, you see that over there? And they said, yeah, what is that? And he said, one crow said, well, that's scarecrow. That scarecrow. I mean, doesn't it look authentic? And the other crow said, well, I don't know. How do you know it's a scarecrow, not a human being? He said, do you see a cell phone in their hands? It's a scarecrow. And I said that to say that our priorities tell people who we are. Is that cell phone important to you? How important is your life? Because Jesus said, I come to give you my life, his life. He didn't invite you to his life holding on to your life. The priority is, I want his life. I want to be recognized as a disciple. I want him to know me, not as a cannot be my disciple, but as a disciple. Somebody who's following Christ, giving it everything that I can give to be a faithful follower of Christ. That's priority, folks. That's priority. Not only is there priority in discipleship that Jesus talked about, there's also a price tag. Now look at this. He goes on in verse 28 and says, for which one of you, do you ever notice it? He's talking about discipleship, and then he kind of focuses, on what reality is. Which one of you, he says, when he wants to build a tower, does not first sit down and calculate the cost to see if he has enough to complete it? What in the world does a tower and money have to do with being a disciple? Everything. Not something, but everything. It's very important, as he says in verse 29, otherwise, when he has laid a foundation and is not able to finish, all who observe it begin to ridicule him. You, the laughing stock of the city. Saying, this man began to build and was not able to finish. Or what king, when he sets out to meet another king in battle, will not first sit down and consider whether he is strong enough with 10,000 men to encounter the one coming against him with 20,000? Are you strong enough on your own to battle Satan? See, you need to realize, you need to count the cost. I'm not. So I need Christ. I need his army. I need his warfare. I need his weaponry. Or else, while the other is still far away, he sends a delegation and asks for terms of peace. We compromise. The nation in Israel cried out, peace, peace. God is mad, and he's prophesying through Jeremiah. You're crying out, peace, peace, but there is no peace. Don't compromise and think you found peace. So then none of you can be my disciple who does not give up all of his own possessions. You see what I mean? It's an all or nothing deal. When we look at it, we have to understand that discipleship, it brings cost. You know, we understand it's a free gift. This eternal life, it's a free gift. I get it, but it costs you everything. You know? Not a spending way, but a sacrificial way. To let God lead. Not be prideful enough to think that I can go ahead of Christ. That I can find my way there without him. If Christ ain't leading me, I ain't getting there. You understand that? This is what we're saying. That's going to cost. So we look at this. Discipleship doesn't bring big paychecks. You know, the idea of what's going on here. It brings the cost of completion. Are we ready to start, but when we start to complete what we started? And we get in and we say, well, the world's out there having all kinds of fun, and I'm stuck here listening to this short, long-winded preacher. That's part of the cost, right? I mean, this is what, and really it's not a cost. I'm having a ball. I don't know about y'all. But to me, this is a great time. Someone asked me yesterday about what makes your life better now that you're a Christian. I said, look where I am. I am sitting in a room with Christians. We're studying and learning about God. Where else could I want to be? And if you're not like that, well, maybe that yoke doesn't fit properly. Maybe you're in the wrong place. Because Jesus is very clear that this cost, you know, and I want us to understand this as parents. What are we teaching our kids? That money's important? I mean, this is what Satan wants us to teach our kids. You know what God said? Train them up in the ways of the Lord, where there is no big paychecks. When our goal isn't to have big bank accounts. Our goal isn't a championship belt. But our goal is a crown of life that is given to us by God himself through his son, Jesus Christ. Woo! The cost of discipleship. What's going on here? There we go. It doesn't bring popularity. You know, I have seen parents do things with their kids because they have more friends. You know, I've had parents who have taken their kids out of a Christian birthday party, so to say, to go be with the world. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong, just like Mary and Martha. But you're not choosing the good. You're not lining your children up for success. A leader will tell you, my job is to line you up for success. Yeah? If I line you up to fail, I'm not a good leader. And our kids need parents that are lining them up for Christian success, to be right with God, not to be right with the world. And that's a struggle. That's hard. If you're a materialistic person, you're going to be disappointed because everything that's physical is going to be burned up anyway. I think an elder's wife told me one time, you can't take it with you. What are you holding on to? It doesn't bring popularity. Your friends ain't going to go, hey, way to go, Carter. You're a Christian. Woohoo! They're going to go, what are you doing? You know? Don't you want to be a great band leader? Don't you want to be, and I'm not saying that's wrong, but I'm saying my priority is to be a Christian first. And when I'm a good Christian, guess what? I'm going to be an excellent band leader because I'm going to have my priorities right, and I'm going to know the cost of what it means to be a disciple. Now, I may not have you as a friend, but Jesus is my Lord, and that's all that matters to me. These are things that our kids need to know. You know, I had and I told you this morning, at least the ones that were here, and if you weren't here, no, I'm not going to tell you. No. But the idea of leadership and what they see our kids doing, There was, we put a short story longer. We tried to put a youth rally together, went over there Saturday, and nobody showed up. Well, the elders got mad at us because we planned it on the first day of deer hunting season. Oh, I forgot. Jeconiah chapter 2 verse 1 says, never plan Christian events on the first day of deer season. Right? The priority and the price tag are there, folks. It's there, and our kids need to understand it, and they need good leadership to lead them down this path. They need to understand this isn't about easy living, because Christianity doesn't promote that. It's a fight. What did Paul say? I lived an easy life. Now I get the crown of life no. I fought the good fight. I've kept the faith. I've finished the course. That's what our children need to see. That's what they need to be taught. Because we don't want them to burn out. We don't want them to struggle with it. So if we're struggling with it, guess what? They're going to follow suit with that. So we, as Christians, need to look at these idea of being a disciple. It's not an easy life. I mean, you think about it. In reality, every relationship that we're ever entered into in life is worth looking at before we enter into it. Why are divorce rates so high in the world? Because people aren't looking into the cost of being in that relationship. And so they get there and they say, well, this costs way too much. I'm out of here. And this is not the idea of Christianity. You think about it. Relationships are important. You need to know what people want, what it's going to cost us. I made a chicken salad the other night, and come to find out, they like grain. I didn't know that, so I backed out of that relationship. Really, folks, we try to give Jesus what we can afford. We try to give Jesus what we want to give. We don't look at it as the cost of the relationship with Him. Jesus went to the cross for us. He paid that price. And He invited us to follow that life with Him. Why? So we could lead others in that same path to follow us. I want to encourage you. Know the cost. Pay the price. Stay faithful. And don't let the world pull you out of this relationship. It's important. We've seen the price tag, right? We've seen the priority. Let's look at the peculiarity. Look at verses 34 and 35 of Luke chapter 14. Get back over there. He says in verse 34, therefore salt is good. Woohoo! Everybody likes salt. Salt is good. Oh, but wait a minute. I think he's saying we're salt. Look what he says. But if even salt has become tasteless, with what will it be seasoned? You can't season salt with salt. It's useless, either for the soil or for the manure pile. It is thrown out. It's important. How do I know? He who has an ear, let him hear. Right? So we need to look at this. Salt is a peculiar seasoning, if you will. We have to understand that we are built a special way. Not because we're born all of the same physical idea. It's when we take on that new birth. When we die to sin, we repent of that sin, we die with him, we're buried with him, we're raised again. When those things happen, we are built totally different. 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 17. Those of us who are in Christ, we are new creatures. That means a whole new creation, folks. We are built totally different. We're peculiar. We're peculiar in goodness. Because look at it, salt is what? Good. Now you are good. Now wait a minute. I might have thought of myself as being good before I became a Christian. I may think somebody else is good that is not a Christian. So guess what you have to do when you interpret the Bible? You have to open your mind to who's saying this, God. What does God call good? Salt is good. We have a chance to show our loyalty, not to the world, but to God. We are different. We're different people. We're different in loyalty. We're different in faith. It's not about the world's opinions. It's in God's truth. We're different in nature. Our walk now, our way of life is now guided by God. So that's going to make us very peculiar. 1 Peter chapter 2, verses 9 and 10. We're totally different. We're peculiar, King James says. We're different. Now we are God's people. We used to be the world's, but now we're God's. And so we have a goodness. This is a word that means of good quality, built of something with good quality. You go buy a house, do you check the quality of the work being in there? It better be good, right? When God built the world, when he created the world, what did he say? It's pretty good. No, he said it's good. When God says it's good, it's good. It is built good. The world is built by a different architect. And although he may say it's good, they may say it's good, it's only God that builds that says it's good. So it's a goodness that we are peculiar about. We don't want to be good to the world. We want to be good in God's eyes. It's peculiar in taste. If even salt has become tasteless, do we get that word? If we let the world take his life out of us, we become common people. We become just like the world. That's what the word tasteless means, to take that taste out of you, to take God's life out of you and become just like a common person in the world. Oh, we're peculiar because we like this taste. We want this. We're here to season the world. You take that life out of me, you take that season. I can't season nothing. I can't even season a manure pile. You know? So we're peculiar in the usefulness. It's useless, Jesus said. It's not useful to God. So guess what happens? You get thrown away. John chapter 15. If you're a branch that's just hanging on, not bearing fruit, guess what? Cut off, whoop, thrown in the fire. Do we see that? You're a disciple because you're different. Right? You want to be different than the world. You don't want to look like them. You don't want to smell like them. You don't want to talk like them. You don't want to act like them. You want to be different. And that's a challenge. It's going to call us out of that world. It's going to call us out of those popularity contests. It's going to call us out of some of the people that we used to like or we used to be like. It wasn't hard for me, but when I first became a Christian, I didn't realize the peculiarity of it, and so I invited all my old friends over. Come on, guys. There's nothing different. I was baptized. I'm a Christian. I go to church on Sundays. There's nothing different. Come on over. But then I started realizing the differences. Oh, man, that's a cuss word. I don't like that. Oh, you guys are drinking that alcohol? No, I don't like that. Oh, you guys are womenizers and all. Nah, I don't want nothing to do with that. I invited them over the next time, nobody came. I'm peculiar. I'm different. It ain't that I don't want them to be around me. It's they don't want to be around me. So the challenge is, who do we want around us? What is it that we're trying to be in this world? If we are trying to be people that love God, then we have a life that's following Christ. And that's a challenge, because not everybody's going to like that. It's a prioritized life. Oh, guess what? The world has no priority in my life. Uh-oh, they don't like that. It's a priceless life. You can't put value in what God has given me, because He's everything. Everything else is nothing. Philippians chapter 3. Thinking like God. I count all things as loss, that I may gain the knowledge of Him and the power of His resurrection. Woohoo! There's a Philippians sermon right there. Right? Let's start there. Philippians, oh, wait a minute. We're at the end. It's a priceless life. Okay? But it's a peculiar life. It's different. If you're not different, get there. You know? God wants us to be different. And you don't have to be as different as Cub is. Or do you? You know, this lesson today was put together because we have allowed the world to get us to think like them. We as Christians have allowed the world to get us to think like them. And I want us to start changing the way that we think. Because Satan is so crafty and good at what he does, he takes a little thing to get us to doubt God and turns that into unfaithfulness. We can be encouraged by this lesson. 2 ways. Number 1, maybe you're here and you've not taken the steps to be a Christian. Now maybe you've called yourself that, maybe you've let the world call you that, but I challenge you to get in this book, to look at what it is that God calls a Christian, to look at how God washes away sin through waters of baptism. Now the world will tell you something totally different, but do you want to be like the world, or do you want to be different? Today's your opportunity. As you have a group of people here sitting here today that would love to open this book with you and show you what it means to be a Christian. But the other side of that is those of us who have put on Christ in baptism, are we living up to the challenge? You know, there are things that we're going to be held accountable according to this word. And some of the things that we do might come up in front of somebody, and they may come up to us and say, you know, Steph, of course they wouldn't call me Steph, but if they were talking to you, Steph, they would say, Steph, why are you doing that? Is that something that you see in the Bible? How do we handle that? Do we handle that in a different way? Do we look at that as something priceless, that somebody cares enough about me to come to me and say, wait, are we lining our life up in God's word? You know, if there's something in your life, even as a Christian, that Satan is trying to use to pull you away from God, let's get in this book. Let us be there for you. Let us put a reminder in your ear how special you are in God's eyes. We can't help neither one of those situations if you don't let us know. Today, if you're here looking at how to be a Christian, or if you're here looking at how to be faithful, you have a group of people here that would love to help if you'll let us. Please take this opportunity now to come forward as we stand and we sing.